we are talking Florida State recruiting. And sorry, Steve, I got to get you out of here. I got to bring in Hayes Fawcett. He's got some breaking Florida State news. I know you've been sitting on this one. The announcement just went up. Florida State landed a running back commitment while the show was going on.
Yeah, Josh. Florida State landed 4-star running back Byron Lewis out of American Heritage in Florida. He committed essentially right after the Tennessee-Oklahoma game while we were on the show, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
He joins Florida State's top 20 class. You know, we've been talking about it a few times on the show, obviously, with the struggles Florida State has had. A few of their guys have decommitted, but, you know, it's good to get a guy like him in the fold. So,
yeah, talk about the timing of it all. I mean, this is were you involved in the timing of it? Because Byron Lewis was all set to decide. I think was he waiting for the end of the FSU game? Like, what happened today for him to announce at almost 12 o'clock Eastern on a Saturday night?
Well, so this was actually one of the first times I've seen a commitment revealed this way. His birthday was Tuesday, I believe, and he was supposed to commit tonight around like 9:30 Eastern, I believe. Well, anyway, I get a call from him, and he said the cake at the bakery was a little bit late. And, you know, pretty late for a bakery to be open. But anyway, beside the point, he ended up getting his cake, and the way he revealed his announcement was like he lit the like top paper on a cake on fire, and it revealed the Florida State logo. So I thought that was pretty
cool.
Yeah, that's definitely a funny story in terms of, you know, him announcing his commitment.
Yeah, pretty wild. Florida State lands a commitment. They get their first win, and they get their first running back commitment of the 2025 cycle. But Steve, if Florida State had their way, Byron Lewis wouldn't be the last running back in this class. They had Usman Kroma on campus. And we've been talking a lot about Kroma on the On3 Recruits channel because he visited Georgia recently. He's been at Auburn. He's trending to Auburn, and he's set to make his commitment in about 6 days. So what are you hearing? What are you feeling on Usman Kroma coming out of this FSU trip?
Well, I think that there's been times where Florida State has been considered the team to beat for Usman Kroma. So obviously the Seminole staff getting him back to campus wants to remind him why he's been so high and keen on their program. And Mike Norvell's got a major track record of running back development going back to his time at Memphis. So even though Florida State's 1-3, there is a lot of evidence for him to point to. And not only will Florida State get back on track with the 2 seasons they had prior to this one, and getting a good win against an undefeated Cal team shows how resilient they are. But just the players that he's had a hand in developing and that they're still playing in the NFL is big. So we'll see if this weekend is enough for Florida State to rally here with Auburn and Georgia collecting a lot of the buzz here late going into his decision. Don't sleep on the Bulldogs for Usman Kroma as well. But getting those commits back, Josh, I think that's, you know, their loyalty, the Solomon Thomases, the CJ Wileys. Look, Georgia, Kirby Smart was at CJ Wiley's game this week.
Yeah, how about that? He's really breathing down the neck of those Florida State commitments.
Right. Auburn, you know, LSU, those are programs that are going to keep swinging at CJ Wiley. I talked to CJ Wiley about Florida State last month, and he said what's special about the future Florida State is what Coach Norvell and his staff are putting together. Florida State is a great history and tradition, and that is what this class wants to be part of, to continue the winning tradition. So I just think he's historically into the Noles. Now, again, recruiting, we're in a new age. We'll see what all these recruitments look like in November when it's time to really put all your cards on the table. I think right now people are still just sitting there playing hands, including the prospects and the schools.
Yeah. You know, we'll just take it week by week, but Florida State, boy, did they need this win, not just for the season, but also recruiting. I mean, having guys like a Solomon Thomas on campus, right? Solomon Thomas, the Sharks are circling. Miami wants him. The Gators want him. LSU wants him. But this weekend, he was back in Tallahassee. Alex Atkins back on the sidelines there in for FSU. And things seem to return a bit to normal for FSU, who's coming off that undefeated regular season. Got their first win. They are now, 1-3. It's a bit of a shocker, but FSU holding steady. They did suffer a couple of decommitments in a Myron Charles and a Javian Hilson, but since then they've maintained. And like you said, getting a CJ Wiley, Solomon Thomas, and Usman Chroma on campus this weekend, I think was pretty big for them. Moving forward though, I mean, they got to keep winning, right? We talk about programs like an Auburn, for example, who's in the second year of Hugh Freeze, but is recruiting different when you're in the fifth year under a Mike Norvell?
Well, again, I just think that historically Mike Norvell has a lot of success to point towards. And yes, getting this win against Cal was big. SMU just got a major win against TCU, so that's not going to be an easy one on the road next weekend when they go take on SMU on the road. But there's a chance for them to build some momentum if they can beat SMU on the road. And Florida State's defense has played pretty well. Then you get Clemson at your place on October 5th. Clemson steamrolled NC State. Duke's undefeated. Miami's after that. They got some tough games coming up, but I think that I think they're going to be in those games. So we'll see if they can pull out another big win or two and then rally on this recruiting class here as well. Try and keep their best guys in the fold and maybe see who they can come back around on as this cycle continues.
Yeah, I agree. Florida State fans, it must feel good to get that first win of the season. Talk to Steve and I. How are you guys feeling, not only about the team, but also this recruiting class that Mike Norvell trying to push into the top 10? Let us know how you're feeling. Comment section below. All right, there you have it. Another recruit reaction in the books. Can we bring in Hayes Fawcett? We need to take a bow. There he is. Hayes Fawcett himself in the flesh. All right.
Steve, I want to ask Hayes, keep this part of the Florida State section. When did CJ Wiley tell you he was going to be a Nole?
And it was definitely days before the announcement. Obviously that was a big shocker. I know it was
shockers for the other schools.
Yeah, no doubt. Florida State, Georgia, and LSU. A lot of people believed it would be Georgia or LSU, and then he chose Florida State. But yeah, no, he let me know a few days before, and I was shocked myself.
Yeah, I think that was probably the shocker of the summer. Would you say, Steve?
Well, I never predicted that one because I didn't know what he was going to do. It's not like I thought that he was going somewhere else and then just picked Florida State. It was intriguing. It was the most intriguing one because I had no idea where he was going to go. Shocker. I mean, there was just people assuming he would go to Georgia, and maybe he still will. And I think that they said promising things to Georgia and LSU that if you were talking to just one staff, you would feel good that that program was in a good spot. But I just could, CJ Wiley's commitment, I had no idea what he was going to do when he announced it. It was, but he was fresh off a Florida State visit. They got the last visit too, if you remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see what Florida State can do moving forward. They got a lot of great commitments. They need to kind of replace what they lost in the trenches when they lost Myron Charles, who flipped to Texas, and then Javian Hilson, one of the top edge prospects in America, remains uncommitted right now. So they got a little bit of work to do still on the trail. This win should help. So Florida State fans, talk to us. Let us know. Comment section below how we feeling.